Lauren, we have a pretty rich history here at Solex. We're not very old.
No.
We're only a few
We're
years
just
old.
infants in this industry.
Yeah, babies, right?
Yeah, we are.
But we're scrappy little guys, right? Making our way in this industry. And even though I think we've come out with some groundbreaking stuff and tried to push a narrative of change and challenging the status quo, I do think that there is a greater history that's worth addressing as we introduce something on this video.
Okay.
The history, you've been involved in so many things. I mean, not just Solex and not just the last handful of years. You have decades of experience exploring the bounds of frequency, energy, and different modalities of helping people heal and get better and get stronger and learn and be educated. One of the things that I'd like to kind of just cherry pick and talk about for just a minute is the Theta machine. Will you just give us a little bit of history of how you got into the Theta machine, and let's kind of take that as a stepping stone towards something actually more available.
Okay.
How about that?
All right. So it goes back to the 80s when we had adopted our first son, Michael, who had cerebral palsy. And a lot of people probably already know this story, but my wife and I were trying to find ways to improve his quality of life. Mm-hmm. And he was headed towards a wheelchair. And so all these things were in our mind. And so we, over a period of time and meeting with lots of doctors, going to lots of conventions, came up with what we now call the Theta Chamber.
Yes.
And it's a device that stimulates the brain multiple ways simultaneously, but all in sync with each other. Mm-hmm. And the Theta Chamber literally changed Michael's life and therefore changed our life.
Yeah.
Because Michael's now 42 and he has no CP.
Yeah.
And so, yes, it was an amazing discovery for us. But in that 30 some odd years, we now have hundreds of Theta Chambers around the world and changing the lives of thousands of people.
Of so many people, right? It's interesting because when you think about the Theta Chamber and this concept of someone with CP, right? Cerebral palsy. I have a daughter with cerebral palsy, right? Mm-hmm. This is a damaged area of the brain where essentially the signaling isn't working the way a typical person's signaling always works.
And I think the key to that is the signaling in the brain.
Yeah.
The brain's, it's like playing baseball. There's a pitcher, but there's not a catcher
right.
catching that ball. And it gets frustrating, and so things don't work the way they're supposed to.
Yeah.
And imagine how frustrating that'd be for us. Imagine how frustrating it is for
them.
someone like that's dealing with this miscommunication. The Theta Chamber helps reconnect to when that signal is sent, there's someone to receive it.
I love that because even in the 80s, this wasn't as apparent, right? This whole neuroplasticity that is so prevalent in the marketplace now. And obviously studying, learning, and people researching this is so much more available now. The reality that the brain actually is not just this powerful tool that helps us to control our lives and experience life, but it actually is a magnificent adapter to our environments, to what we give it.
And the thing is when you and I were growing up as kids, we were told that when we kill brain cells, they're gone forever.
Yeah.
And they don't ever get replaced. And we've now learned that that's not true.
Yeah.
The neuroplasticity is real. It's a real thing. The brain is continually improving and developing and growing as we stimulate it, whether that's with frequencies or with food, with thoughts. All of these things contribute to that. But you're right. This brain that we have up here is an ever developing organ.
I love that. There's so much promise in that, right? We aren't stuck with what we had. Mm-hmm. We actually can work on it. And that's really your experience in developing the different modalities available in the Theta machine, this powerful machine, this big machine that you've had iterations, you've improved on it. You've improved its not just how it works, but its commercialization, right? You've talked about having hundreds throughout the world in these very high-end, people who are professionals using these to help thousands and thousands of people, right? Yeah. In those, you talked about your son. Can you recall any other experience of somebody who's had a great experience using the Theta machine? Any stories come to mind?
Oh, there's hundreds of stories. You know what's amazing with the Theta Chamber is every person has a very unique experience. Everyone that gets inside. For example, when your daughter went through, her experience was totally different from Michael's.
Yes.
Totally different from mine. We've had people go into the Theta Chamber. They'll be in there for 30 minutes. And when we go to open up the chamber and they get out, some of them are crying. Some of them are happy because of the experience that they had. And it's all a brain chemistry experience that's taking place. And so some of these experiences where people have had complete about faces, no longer addicted to a substance or no longer dealing with suicidal tendencies, no longer feeling like they can't do what they want to do in life.
Yeah.
So.
I love that psychological benefit too of just having some confidence that there is a way to actually help myself achieve what I want to achieve.
Gives hope.
Yeah, it gives hope. I'll tell, just to quickly noting on what the story that you touched on, which was my daughter. Our daughter has cerebral palsy, and obviously we got introduced to the Theta Chamber a little bit later in her life. There's a lot of maturity in her brain already, but let's just touch on really that there is no end to the rewiring. Right? She's a little bit older, and obviously the earlier in the development of the brain, there is some benefits in that way, as you've experienced over the last decades. But part of her cerebral palsy affects her lower extremities. She would drag her right foot. I mean, she couldn't necessarily walk. She really can't. She uses canes or a wheelchair. But at home, one of the things that we would observe was that she would, she would love to carry her drink or her cereal bowl from the kitchen counter to the table.
And sometimes to a room, which was up a flight of stairs.
She would love to be able to do that, to be independent. But you know what? The cerebral palsy affected her in such a way that it was so shaky and so disruptive. Just getting it 6 feet from the kitchen counter to the kitchen table was enough to spill, half the cereal on the floor. And it was frustrating for her. Yeah. Although she never really would express that, right? She never would complain about that. But she goes and she does 28 days in the Theta Chamber. And we observe her steadiness, a steadiness in her ability to control muscles that she shouldn't be able to control.
Or at least hadn't been able to that point.
To that point. And not just a steadiness of moving things that would spill and fall and end up on the floor, not just from the kitchen table to from the kitchen counter to the kitchen table, but she would be able to take her cereal bowl, milk and all, down around the hall, up the stairs to her room. That was never possible before. There wouldn't be a chance that there would be a bit of cereal left in that bowl by the time she reached her room in the past. And now it is. And guess what? She did it that time. She hasn't lost it since. She still can have that control. But let me just tell you the depth of that. Here, the things that we do with assistance and the things that we do without assistance. The area of her brain impacted, I said, affected her lower extremities. Effectively, the professionals who know the brain really well said that area is dead. It's dead in the brain. It will not work. It will not control her lower legs. She won't be walking. She may not be sitting, right? And when you think about that, and the pre-Theta chamber benefits was also evidence of the rewiring of the brain. We fortunately never gave her all the lifted her up, carried her wherever she needed to go. We tried to encourage her to find her own way.
On her own,
yeah. But what does that prove? That proves that the brain does rewire. And even with some assistance, she was able to stand on her own. Yeah. With an area of the brain that doesn't work.
Yeah, and that's the key. Doesn't work, not dead.
Yes.
Big difference there. Not working. Like when we're dealing with someone with an addiction. Yeah. And they've developed a neural pathway route in the brain, so to speak, that rewards that addiction. And if they don't get the addiction, they have their problems. Yep. What the Theta Chamber does, it doesn't go in there and cut that road. No. It creates a new one.
A new pathway.
It creates a new neural pathway that within maybe a week or so's time is challenging the old pathway.
Yes.
And then pretty soon surpasses it, now becomes the main thoroughfare in the brain.
And I
no
love
longer the
that.
addiction.
And the thing is, we know that the more that pathway, that new pathway is used, is encouraged, the stronger the pathway gets, the faster the signaling takes place. Yeah. And the old pathway, the bad pathway, the pathway we don't want anymore, actually the technical term is it gets trimmed.
Yeah.
It no longer functions, or it doesn't function very well. It doesn't need to be used.
It's like a muscle that you never use. It atrophies and it dies on its own. It just, the body takes care of it because the new pathway works.
This is a powerful machine. This is a commercial grade machine. This is a really a clinical environment tool. What does that machine cost?
The cost of the Theta Chamber is $78,500.
$78,500.
It's not small dollars.
No, that's a big deal, but it does a big thing. Right? It's super powerful, and especially for that clinical environment, $78,000 is a bargain.
Yeah.
Now, those of you that are sitting here going, okay, Solex, what $78,000 you're gonna offer the Theta Chamber? We have a payment plan. Have you heard about the payment plan? Hang with me for just a minute.
Don't tune off yet.
Yeah, before we get too scared with that price point, the Theta machine, the chamber is a powerful. I've been in it.
We'll go back to Michael. When we were doing all our research, we found that the part of Michael's brain that was not functioning the way it should was when he was in Theta. Okay. That's when we dream. Theta is that dream state. They say it's when we're closest to source, to God, inspiration. It's when we have our most creative thinking. And that's when the body can do its best healing, is in Theta. And so we focused everything on the Theta Chamber to bring the client's state of mind into that Theta wavelength.
Yeah.
And that's why we call it the Theta Chamber.
Yeah. To get that repairing, those new pathways built, give the brain the ultimate opportunity to do something with that. And I think that that's probably really powerful, right? When you relax things, sometimes it allows an easier flow of the new pathways to take place. You know what, Lauren, at Solex, we've been so impressed and so inspired by not only the history of everything that you've done here at Solex, but everything that you've done in your career, that we've talked about bringing something, maybe not on the commercial level, right? Maybe not on this professional high-end level, but something to the home. We've always wanted to reach, I've had this goal. I want AO Scan technology in 100 million homes. I've always wanted it. I could just see it, and I want that. But I know that the Theta Chamber probably won't go into and it's not necessarily meant for the home.
Not really.
Right? No. But you know what? You've helped create something here at Solex that might be able to make it into 100 million homes. Is it okay if we show everybody?
Let's do it.
All right. The hub, you guys, Solex, I love this product. Of course I love this product, right? Solex brings it. We wouldn't bring it to market, I don't think, if I didn't love it.
No, you wouldn't.
And you too. I mean, we have so many fun sessions around what we get to bring to market, but this one has knocked our socks off.
And the thing is, Kai, we've been working on this for more than a year. This isn't something that just happened.
No.
We've been going through this. How can we make this? How can we make it better? And how can we make it affordable?
Yes. The thing is, we want to get it into the home. We want to make it as powerful as we can make it. And we'll talk about future-proofing in just a second, because we wanted to future-proof. We wanted this to do more than what we could even possibly imagine for the things we haven't even thought of yet. But let's go back. We just saw this portable home unit that gives or can help the brain get into theta. But one of the things in this last year, as we've reviewed how to build this and how to build this the best way for right now, for where we are right now, you actually came across something that was really interesting regarding not just theta, but that there might be other brainwaves that are actually pretty valuable for us to instigate, to help. Tell us a little bit about that discovery.
So for 35 years, we focus on just theta.
Yeah.
But then you start to realize, okay, well, there's a lot of other brain activity out there, a lot of other brain waves. What can we do? And we've learned that in certain circumstances, let's take autism, for example.
Yeah.
Autism, an individual is predominantly in the state of theta all the time. And that whole spectrum. And so now we put them into the theta chamber and we compound that with more directed theta.
Yeah.
And we can actually aggravate that situation. Not that we haven't seen good success with autism, but it was a little bit more of a challenge. Well, we learned that if that was the case, well, what if we switched him to alpha?
Alpha.
If we move that brain state into alpha from theta, we do two things. We're taking him out of the healing side a little bit, moving him up into an area of the brain that hasn't been getting the attention and the education and the guidance that it needed because it's always been in theta.
Yeah.
And so now they're getting into more of a creative, they're thinking better. They're able to take some of this awkwardness of always being in theta and kind of waking up a little bit and their life is better. So alpha is an amazing therapy for helping us get into a more creative way of our brain.
I love that. And that, opening that up said, not just obviously with the autism and those on that spectrum, but also, hey, maybe we should explore a little bit further. What are all these other brainwaves that we should have the option to instigate when we need those to help us learn, to get better, to create the pathways that we want. When you talk about theta as this deep relax, I mean, if we start at the bottom, right? Delta. Sleep. Theta, deep relaxation, this inward focus, this healing process, this what needs to be repaired and changed. Alpha being still relaxed state, but more passive in its awareness.
You're up a little bit more.
A little bit more.
Like when you're sleeping at night, you're in the dream state. And then as you start to wake up, you kind of drift out of theta up into alpha.
Okay.
And now we're in that in-between state of dreaming and beta, which is awake. And I said, when someone wakes you up when you're in alpha, it's like, oh, where am I?
Yeah, shocking.
And where if you wake somebody that's in dream state, it's like, well, it's a little slower.
So, it's groggy.
But when you wake them up out of alpha, it's like, oh, wait, what happened here? And so alpha is an incredibly impressive state of mind to be in, because when you hit that block and you just don't know where to go, that's alpha.
I like
you get
that.
into alpha.
Yeah, because that passive attention, but still in a relaxed state, is still open to a lot of it. I feel it's like feeding subconscious. I mean, those other states, all these states can feed the subconscious to its own degree.
Right.
But it's interesting. It'll be interesting for us as we improve upon this and learn even more how we can help educate and connect the dots with other parts of the scanner too. Yeah. I think is going to be powerful. After alpha, we get into beta. Beta sometimes I think can have a little bit of a bad connotation, not bad but when you think about it, sometimes anxiety floats around the beta state. But I'd like to turn that, as I kind of did my research around beta. Okay, it might have an anxiety dominant approach, is more active, but it still has a relaxed component to it, to outside or external attention, things that are going on beyond you, right?
Right. Well, like right now, this conversation that we're having, we're more actively in the beta.
Beta, yeah.
We're kind of in the lower end of beta because we're having to process thoughts and bring up memories and put all this together to where we can have a conversation that we are actually learning from and pulling things from. And so that's where your anxiety can come in. Sometimes it's a little frustrating. Can't remember that. But beta is so important, and that we spend a lot of our time in beta.
And I love that because even if there is an anxiety around it, sometimes that anxiety is, I need, when we get sweaty palms, when we get the butterflies in the stomach, I've learned over the years that that's not just a bad thing. Sometimes it actually is, your body is also gearing up to perform.
And it's telling your brain, we got to get prepared.
Yes.
And so that's where all these things are coming
Heightened
into play,
awareness.
right? Yes, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So as you then move up past beta, we get into gamma.
Gamma.
We get into the Hulk.
Well, the incredible Hulk state. Hopefully none of us will go green or big, but yeah.
No, and it's not radiation. It's nothing like that. I know sometimes gamma has that connotation with something actually really could be harmful. We're talking about brain wave lengths here. The gamma is, we're looking at 35 hertz and above. This is concentration and into hyperconcentration.
Yeah. Now
right?
you've just got taken your brain into the quantum computing state.
I love that actually.
You're
so
focused.
perfect.
You're focused and highly efficient.
Yeah.
Because you've worked your way up to the beta, and now you're in, okay, the anxiety's not there, the frustration's not there. You are highly focused, and you're able to process information at an incredible rate.
I love that. Let me bring up two things you taught me, and we don't necessarily have to hit the frequencies on this, but there's a frequency that you see as kind of a brain reset 1 level, and then a brain reset 2 level. This is a frequency that you could use within the hub to be able to kind of clear the cards. So let's just clean the board. Let's
wipe the canvas free.
Wipe the canvas. That's perfectly said.
We use that in the Theta Chamber when we have an individual that we're just not getting that progress that we were hoping and expecting, and we'll hit one of the frequencies in gamma, and there's 2 of them. You mentioned there's 2. We'll hit that, and it's kind of like when you go to your computer and it's really slowed down and lagging. You push the reset, it literally shuts it down and restarts it.
Yeah.
It basically just got rid of everything, got all
Clears
the
the
clutter
cache.
out of the way. Yeah, clears the cache.
Yeah.
And now you're back. And so one of those 2 frequencies, which is available in the hub, is just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I love that. When I think about that, when I think about the brain reset, that there's a frequency that I can spend some time in, it's going to clear the cache, so to speak, of my brain. I could totally see using that as a preparatory state to do things like inner voice, to do something like mind sync, to do things like I need to focus.
Absolutely.
I'm getting bombarded. There's so many things passing. If I'm trying to learn how to do meditation, clear the cache. Learn how to focus on something simple, something quiet, and get your mind in an ability to be controlled and powerful in a neural pathway that you actually get to choose what happens.
So let's take this, down a path. So let's say you're getting ready to go to bed, and you do your inner voice, and you do your mind sync.
Okay.
You go to sleep. You spend some really quality time in theta, alpha. You're going back and forth between theta and alpha. Then you wake up, and now you're in beta. You get up, you do your inner voice. And maybe you do another mind sync.
Yeah.
And then when you're getting ready to go do your stuff, you've done all the preparatory work, you sit down and you do a gamma reset. And now everything that you've brought in from inner voice, all the stuff that you brought up through your inspiration and your dreaming, your beta, you've kind of got a focus here. And then you say, okay, now I've done my preparatory work. Let's hit it. And now you've got your brain set.
I love that. And the thing is, with something like the hub, you can do it whenever you want.
Absolutely.
I could do it daily. I could do it monthly. I could do it quarterly. I could do it however often I want. And because it's a portable unit, it's something in the home, it's something everybody can do. Right? In the family, something everybody has access to. I love this. So there is so much more to theta. But let's talk about the hub. The hub in its core state has the box that we saw, right? It has the goggles. That's where you get the visual stimulation. The thing where I saw all the patterns, but even though it's only showing me something really simple, my brain was going crazy with that. It has the audio stimulation. And then we have these frequency stimulators that go on the ears.
On the earlobes.
Right?
Yep.
That is the core features. But you know what, Lauren? That is powerful. That to everything that we talked about to this point, that is what you can use to accomplish these things. But we didn't stop there.
And we could have.
We could have stopped.
And it would have been just fine with just that.
When you think about competitors, things that have something like this.
So one of the methods of this type of stimulation, people have probably heard a lot of it called binaural beats.
Oh, yeah.
And this is not binaural
Used
beats.
them.
Yeah. This is not binaural beats. It is a binaural stimulation to the brain, but totally different from a binaural beat. Stimulating the eyes, we don't stimulate with red lights and blue lights and green lights. We use full spectrum white light only, because with full spectrum, the whole color spectrum is there.
Yeah.
And so your brain will pull and perceive what it needs to based on the emotions and stuff that you're doing. So we have pure white light. We have pure brain visual or audio stimulation that is different in the left hemisphere than it is in the right.
Yes.
And then you have your frequency stimulators on the earlobes that are help guiding the brain activity to a very specific target.
Yes.
And that's the hub.
So when you use the hub and you use those modalities, you're choosing, like we talked about the wavelengths, but you also can choose other things to help you gain that new neural pathway.
Absolutely. Right? So you can hook it right into where your Cepheid frequencies are playing right into the hub and being synchronized into everything else and coming into the brain at the same time simultaneously. You can bring in your inner voice music. You can bring all these things in. It's truly integrated to the AO scan. Okay,
Lauren, I'm going to fall off my chair telling you about this because this is absolutely crazy. I have dealt with some degree of chronic back pain for a while. Yep. And what I've learned about any chronic pain is that it is not so much the signaling from that area of the body as much as it is the magnitude of neural pathways being grown around the signal of pain.
Exactly. Yep.
Right. So if I said I had chronic lower back pain, the way I'm actually in the research I'm doing on this, the way to help heal. There's outside modalities. There's great benefits from red light. There's other things that you can take on the chemistry side. Yeah. But let's think about this. If the neural pathways are being overrun on the signaling of pain, and the thing is, it's not a bad thing. When you get the first injury, it's just saying, "Hey, something's wrong here. We better do something about it." Yeah. But the pain signal is minute. It might be sharp, but it's minute. Mm-hmm. If that pain signal is repetitive, over and over and over again, guess what your brain is doing? It's creating new neural pathways over and over again. So then you have thousands of new pathways when it didn't need that many pathways.
And what that does on a physiological is it brings inflammation
to
where the pain is.
Because your body's saying,
compounding.
Go fix this over and over and over again. Yeah. The assist that you need to break the chronic nature of something like that is to break the pathway. Yeah. By me being able to choose through Cepheid, through the hub, through the modalities, when I'm in pain, I'm experiencing back pain, that's when I need to do something to break the pathway. If I can break the pathway, repeatedly, it's not a slow process, right? It's not a fast process.
Yeah.
It is a slow process. Apparently, I need some hub to work on that part of it. Let's throw the gamma into this.
Well, actually, it's a little bit of both. It's fast in getting the information there. The body may take a little bit of time to make the changes.
To adapt.
But the minute you turn that stimulation on, it's processing.
Yes.
Now the body just has to catch up with that.
Yes, and I love it because that means that I can work on controlling the change of that chronic pain. That is power. And I'm just talking about one of the smallest things, right? Your mind can go wild with the things that your brain can do with the whole body. And having the modalities available to you to help stimulate the pathways to support what it is you want to do is what we're offering in the hub, but more. You'll see on the hub that there are other ports. There are power ports. There are distribution ports. One of the things that we have already talked about, and we kind of leaked at Day of Discovery, was that lasers may be in the mix, right? Think about red light, think about blue light, think about green light, think about infrared, right? Think about near infrared. Lasers, there are other ports. We held something else that had a magnetic quality to it. I won't necessarily say anything more there. No. Our brains are going crazy with so many things that we'll be able to add to the hub in the future to make not just what we talked about, even though what we just talked about is enough, right? There's so much more available to us. Let me talk about, so we future-proofed it. There'll be more things that Solex will be coming out to add to the hub. With the AO Hub, there are some key restrictions that we need to talk about. One is that it does require an AO Scan technology subscription to work.
Yep.
That is key, right?
Yep.
If you have the box and the goggles and the stimulator, the frequency stimulators and the headphones, it's great, but without a subscription, it will not work.
Well, and it's because the AO Hub was designed to complement the AO Scan subscription, to work with the subscription. And otherwise, we could have just came out with a Theta home unit.
Yeah.
We came out with the AO Hub, and it's a hub meaning that it can be attached to many things.
Yes.
There's not limited to just what it is. And this thing requires the like you just mentioned, it needs a PC, it needs the AO subscription, it needs all of these things to be fully unbridled.
Yes. And that is so important. When you think about, we talked about the future proofing and lasers and some other things. Think about a red laser, and yes, it is powerful enough on just a pain, right? On an inflammation area. But if we're using Cepheid with knee pain while pulsing that laser light
with
at that frequencies, it becomes that much more powerful. You can kind of see where we're going with this. Another thing, like you said, you must connect it with a Windows operating system. This will not work on an Android. This will not work on an iOS. Your MacBook will not work with this. There are specific restrictions for us being able to build the connectivity that those other environments would not allow us at this point. Now, it doesn't mean in the future.
Maybe in the future.
If it unlocks in the future. But let me tell you, as you start to understand the value that's here, that $500 Windows tablet, or less, get it on Black Friday, great opportunities for us to expand what is at our doorstep, right? And so I don't want to discourage you by those limitations, but it does require the AO Scan technology subscription, and it does require a Windows operating system. If you don't have those, you'll be sorely disappointed. It won't work on its own. It is combined to work. It is intended to work with those because what? We know the AO Scan technology is a powerhouse, unforeseen in the world, right? Nobody else has anything like this, and we're still making it better. The best thing we can do is connect it to all of that power that sits behind it, right? Okay, $78,500 for a dedicated clinical environment, commercial grade machine. That is the Theta Chamber.
Right.
The Solex AO Hub is not that. This is intended to be a home unit. Not to those standards, but certainly to powerful standards for the home use.
Right.
So do you want to know how much it costs?
How much?
The retail price on this is $4,000. The loyalty price is $3,000, and it comes with 2,100 points. This is available for everybody. This is a shift. This is an education shift. This is a learning. This is a healing shift in so many ways as people start to learn more about what they can do with their bodies. The AO Hub is, to me, outside of the AO Scan technology, the most powerful thing we've come up with to date. It sits on decades of research that Lauren has so graciously allowed us to bring here through Solex in order to be able to bring something to 100 million homes. That's what we're going to do with this. I think it will. I think it needs to. You guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned a lot about what the AO Hub is, and take advantage while it's here. Lauren, we have the brand new hub in front of us.
We do.
And I think what we should do is walk through, what is it like? We just received this. What's the unboxing like?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, well, we're going to walk in here, unzipped. We're going to open this up, and we're going to see what is inside. We're going to start with the big part. What's this guy?
Here's our hub. This is the main piece. This is the main unit. It hooks to your computer.
That's the big machine. That's the brains behind everything you're going to experience.
Absolutely.
Okay, and we have obviously the power part to the hub, right? These are these two parts.
And these are important because this is 24 volt and 5 amps. So this is, you got to make sure this doesn't.
You can't use any power.
No, this is the one you have to use.
Okay, have to use this. Don't cut these cords. You want to use this because it's very important. Dialed in for what the hub needs.
Exactly.
Okay, what's this right here? This is, you can take it out, but it's in a bag right now.
It's our visual stimulator.
Okay.
Over the eyes. So,
Visual stimulator, so you wear those while you're doing a session on the hub.
yes.
We have some cords, connecting cords,
Yep.
right? With the audio or to
And
the
the
Windows-based
Yep.
PC, right?
Yep.
Okay, now what are these?
These are the cranial frequency stimulators, and they just attach to the earlobes.
Okay, right on the earlobe. So that's
on the
another modality that's in. So we have the visual
Yep.
modality going on. We have these cranial stimulators going on the ears as a modality. And then underneath this, we have...
The headphones that are tuned to the audio that comes out of the hub and out of your AO scanner.
Oh, through the AO scanner.
And that gives you your audio stimulation.
This is what you get if you're just starting out and you want to have any of those brain engagement experiences, right?
Yeah, and that's really good, Kai. Brain engagement, not brain entrainment. Big difference.
Yeah, big difference. I think let's take this to the next step and let's show how to connect this to some sort of Windows-based PC, desktop, or tablet. We have taken out all the contents from the starter hub kit. Obviously, we got the big guy here.
The hub.
The hub. We have our headphones, the audio frequency side of things. We have our visual stimulators, right? We have our cranial frequency stimulators. And then we have our connection pieces. Two connection pieces. This is interesting. This is the data connection.
Right.
This is the audio connection. Okay. So you have the hub here. We have your Windows-based laptop here. We have it plugged in. We're ready to go. What do we do next?
Okay, so first thing you do, just like Kai explained, you're going to take your data cable. You're going to plug that into where it says USB on the back of your hub. You plug that in. On my computer or my laptop, it doesn't have a USB-C or a USB-A, so I have to use a USB-C adapter, plug it in. Once that's plugged in, you'll go up to the top right corner of your screen, the three little bars. You'll click on it, and if you look over to the far left, there's a little button that says off, and it says AO Hub Overlay, and you want to turn that on.
And then it goes green. It says on, off
Then
to
it's
on.
on. Then we just click out of that. And then you'll see that there's a new button up here at the top right. It looks like a little plug. And so you click on that little black plug and it opens up the overlay.
Oh, that's cool. So then you see, and it says AO Hub right there in the middle.
It does. Now, when the first time you plug this in, this little box up here will be red. And when you click on it, it will drop down the list of the USB ports that are available. And on this one, we plugged it in already. If you've got a laptop or a tablet, actually a laptop or tablets, some of them, the drivers haven't been initiated. And we have some instructions on how to put the drivers on so that you can access it. But once the drivers are set up, you just find that the appropriate port. And the first one you click on doesn't work, go back, click on another
next one
until it turns on. And then it will immediately turn green. That means your AO Hub now is communicating directly to the software.
So you're trying to get the hub, we got the data connected, we got the power connected, and those steps took me to this top right to the right of AO Hub. I have a plug-in sign, and then I have a check mark, and it's all green. It says I'm good to go.
You're good to go.
Okay.
But we're not finished.
We're not finished.
Okay, so now the next thing we do is we want to be able to run the audio from your inner voice or from your MindSync or any of the Cepheid programs.
Okay.
You want to run that audio through the hub. Again, on my laptop, I had to use a little adapter to get the audio cable. And then right here where it says audio in, you're going to plug in to there. So now that's connecting the audio from the AO technology to the hub.
And I love that. You kind of have descriptions all over the place. So we're paying attention to what you're saying where to connect what.
It's all labeled for you.
Right? It's all labeled. Okay, so what do we have?
Next thing, our visual stimulators. You plug that into your hub directly, and it will say light goggle. Just plug that in.
There we go.
And then the last thing we need to, second to the last thing, our audio stimulator plugs into the audio out.
Okay. So audio in, audio out.
So now we've got everything hooked up except for
Our cranial frequency stimulators.
that plugs in on the opposite side.
Where it says CES, right?
CES, uh-huh.
It's a bit of an abbreviation.
And we just plug that in. Now we have everything hooked up and we're ready to use the hub.
Everything's connected. That's really easy. I see that what you walked me step by step. If I follow your instructions, not only am I connecting the hub to the AO Scan technology, which is required to run the hub, right? But now I've connected the modalities that we want in order to use the AO hub benefits, right?
Yep.
One really important thing, we talked about how it's Windows-based environment that has to be used for the hub, right? And of course, you have to have your AO Scan technology. One thing that is interesting with Windows-based environments, you have a lot of different manufacturers with the Windows platform, right?
Yes.
One thing let's address in connecting and making sure that those ports are open, there's a couple of things we want to bring your attention to, particularly with tablets.
And laptops.
They come with the S mode or the security mode.
Yeah.
With that mode on, that really only runs Windows apps. Do you want to come off of S mode in order to open that up, right?
Yes, you do.
Now, with your quick start guide, another thing that's going to be helpful is we want to open up the drivers that will be used to run the AO Hub with your Windows laptop or tablet or desktop for that matter.
Yeah.
Now, I'll note that some devices you'll plug in, no problem whatsoever, no problem connecting to the hub. But if you have any sort of hiccup, everything's connected, everything looks right, it means we probably need the drivers. In your quick start guide, you will have the driver link. So you're going to click the link, it's going to download the driver to your computer, and then you're just going to follow the instructions to install that driver. Once it's installed, you might want to reboot the computer, reconnect the hub.
And you only have to do it one time.
And then it's open, right?
Yep, it's done.
Then you can connect the AO Hub and you should see everything working perfectly. So we just want to make sure that everybody has that information. Look to the Quick Start Guide. That's going to be available in the back office. It should be emailed to you as well in the process of distributing all the AO Hubs to everybody who's getting them. We love this, so just pay attention. Don't get too frustrated in the beginning. We want you to have a great experience with the AO Hub, so use the link to get the drivers updated.
It's a great one. So Kai, we've got everything all set up here with the hub. It's all hooked up, everything's attached. We've got the communication with the software, we're ready to go. What would you like to accomplish with this session?
You know, I know that there's a few things we can do with that engagement with our brains and that process. I think right now I'd like to, maybe a lot of times, I'd like to get into a relaxed state. Right, just kind of a ease, a peaceful state. That's
so into Theta.
In the Theta.
Okay,
yep, Theta's perfect.
So what we're going to do is we'll actually come down and we'll just push on the T, which stands for Theta. Everything's now set except for the audio here. You'll notice on here we have a left and a right. Some people hear better in one ear than the other.
Okay.
So you can adjust the left and the right audio to where it's just perfect for them.
Okay.
So that the balance is equal. It may not be the same balance here, but in their head it's the same. Okay.
When you hit T, am I already in session? Do I need to be concerned about hurrying and putting anything on?
No, because we haven't started the program.
Okay.
We've just configured the program for Theta.
Okay.
Okay. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to hook up your cranial frequency stimulators. Now this is really simple. It's a great use for your little Solex shot glass.
Brand new Solex shot glass.
Brand new.
Love these.
Okay, so you'll notice that this particular cable has a red and a black end. It makes no difference which one goes where. And then the tips, they're little clamps. You want to open them up and then just dip them in just to where it covers the ends.
Or just the tips.
Just the tips and get them moist. Okay? Now,
right, and caution with that, right? The caution is you're dealing with water around computers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They don't work well together, right? So be careful when you do it. But so then I'm just putting these on my earlobes.
Put them right on your earlobe, and it doesn't matter which side goes front or back either.
Okay. Oh, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter which is front or back, and it doesn't matter red or black on either left or right.
I don't wear earrings, so I'm not exactly sure if these are right or centered, but
you're perfect.
All right.
That's anywhere on the earlobe. And that's a good question. For a woman that's got her earrings, she does not have to take them out.
Okay.
As long as you can get the clamp on the ear, And
Does it matter if they're touching the
No,
earrings?
doesn't matter.
Okay, great.
Okay, because what we're stimulating is frequency
Okay.
to the brain. Okay, all right. So that's the first thing. Our second thing is
Visual.
our visual stimulation.
Okay, visual stimulators, and it's interesting. You want to make an adjustment, right? Try and make sure they fit right. This is Solex. They got the band. I'm just going to put these over my head.
Where it's comfortable. Now,
Where it's
there's a couple
comfortable.
of things that I want to point out here. The lights that are going to be stimulating are full spectrum white light.
Okay.
Now, you want your eyes closed during this, not clenched, just closed, comfortably closed, and just allow it to be. And you're going to want to adjust that light to where it is comfortable. So you don't want it to be so
that can
bright.
be adjusted in the program.
That's the very top adjustment. Best thing to do is we want to start the program and make sure that you're comfortable with your audio levels and your visual.
Okay.
And so I'm going to go ahead and
Before I
put
put
on
my
your
headphones.
No, put your headphones on.
Okay, and they have a left and a right.
Now
And I'm blind
that
right now.
is important to make sure you put left and right on. These particular headphones are the Solex headphones. We call them audio frequency stimulators. They are tuned specifically to the hub and to the audio that comes from the AO Scan. Okay. If you break them or you lose them, any headphone will work. It's just these are better tuned, more precisely tuned. Okay, so everything is on. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start the program. You need to tell me, is the audio balanced in both left and right, and are the lights comfortable for you to?
Is it okay if the cranial stimulators are touching the headphones?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
No problem. So here we go. We start. Now, Kai, is the intensity of the light too strong for you?
Yeah, they're a little bright right now.
So let me take it down a little bit. You tell me when it's comfortable
Okay.
to your.
Too far. Back. Can come back. A little higher. A little more. A touch more. Right there.
Okay.
I like that.
That's good. So now we've got that set up, and you're going to do that with every patient, and you'll just remember this for your next time.
All right, now I'm seeing colors and rectangles and triangles. What am I seeing?
Now this is the interesting part. We only have white light, but it's full spectrum white light. So depending on your emotions, your stress levels, what you ate this morning, how relaxed you are, it's gonna dictate the colors you perceive, because you're really not seeing a color, okay, because your eyes are closed.
Yeah.
But
You've
you're
seen all kinds of
perceiving,
patterns.
okay? And then also patterns. This is your brain chemistry's response to the stimulus from the audio, the cranial, and the visual.
I love my brain.
Yeah. So now, the next thing we want to check, though, Kai, is the volume the same in left and right ear?
Yeah, it feels
Okay,
it's
so-
good. And not
so
too
then-
loud, not too soft.
Then
It
you're
feels
good. And how about the
The cranial frequencies?
frequency? Is that a little intense? You want to
Yeah,
feel a
no,
little
it
bit
was.
of a
You
thump
know what? When it first started, it was a little like
because you were shocked.
Yeah. But now it's normalized for me. So I
Okay.
think it was just the initial. That's a good thing to do when you're starting to know that there might be a little it feels like a little 10 shock almost.
A little bit. The best thing to do is actually start the CS lower
Okay.
and then bring it up. You want to bring it to where you can feel it, and then you want to back down. So I'm going to back down until you just barely don't feel it.
Oh yeah.
Is that it?
No, that's good right there. Even better.
So that's good. So now everything is set. We stopped this program. We now have everything set. We've got it set programmed and configured for Theta. You got your lights and everything set. Now we hit start and you do your 30 minutes.
Oh, now so I would do it 30 minutes at this point.
Now this is when it starts.
Okay.
Everything has been preset and you hit start and now everything comes on.
Yep.
Everything's right the way you want it.
And the best place for me to be doing this, I mean, standing, sitting, laying, what's
Obviously, the best would be lying down in a room where there's not a lot of noise.
Yeah.
Now you can do it in a chair just like we're doing here, but for the best results, lay down in a quiet room and where you're not going to be disturbed for 30 minutes and just let it do its thing. So you can do this on someone else, or you can do this on yourself. You would just go through everything we just did with your screen and do that.
Well, it just went from reds and oranges to greens and purples. I love this.
It's an amazing experience, isn't it?
It is.
You get the brain just firing. And right now, everything's firing. Now, the first 3 minutes of this session, Kai, is we have a 3-minute start and a 3-minute end. We're actually taking the brain's activity, getting it focused, and then gently bringing it down into, in this case, theta. And then for 24 minutes, you have the full theta program. And then at the end, it'll start to bring it back up to where you're in beta. So when you're done, you're not really sleepy. You're ready to move on with the rest of your day. The same with all the other programs. If we had picked alpha or beta or gamma, it's just the 24 minutes in the middle that's that particular frequency. Does that make
fantastic.
sense?
Yes, that is wonderful. This is so impressive. And just so everybody doesn't sit there watching me for the next 27 minutes. What an experience, even just for a few minutes. It's a powerful experience to go through this. You showed people how to connect, how to put it on, and then where to set it's a bar, right, to increase the intensity or lower the intensity. And then it is start the session based on what you selected. It says TABG, right?
And once that's all done, now remember, all we've done here is the hub.
Yeah.
Now you can go into your scanner, and let's say you got a MindSync program set up, or you got your inner voice tones you want to listen to. You just go into your program, start one of those, and let's just play one of the frequencies from, or let's go to the supercharger.
Yeah.
Now that's playing, and you should hear that in your headphones.
I can hear it through the headphones just sitting right
and
here.
And it's blending
with
everything that we just did here. So you've just amplified everything you're trying to do.
Now, one more note. When you're setting this up, do you need to have the right person targeted?
Yes, of course.
Right. So you're selecting the right user, taking him into the AO hub experience, the theta, alpha, whatever it is you want to go into, and then overlaying all that targeted work and that intention to that person.
Now you'll notice you and I can hear this music.
Yeah, we can hear it. Yeah.
The volume from the Cephi or from the AO side is controlled from your computer, not from the hub itself.
Okay, that's a great point.
And you want to blend those two together so you can still hear the frequencies, basically, but mostly your inner voice or your MindSync or.
That's kind of like how we use inner voice, how we have the tunes that overlay the frequency that we are in need of to balance, right?
Yeah, and one of the questions that's going to come up, say, well, is that going to interfere with the frequencies from from that?
Yep.
And no, it blends them perfectly. The hub is designed to blend all of that together to where they don't cancel or block each other. It's complete synchronization of both systems.
Wonderful. Lauren, thank you for taking me through this. Everybody, we've dipped into the unboxing, to the connecting, and the using of the hub, this powerful, unparalleled tool. There's more to come. We know that you'll have more questions. Please send them in. We'll do our best to come back and revisit the questions you have so that we have answers for you as well as you explore the immense capacity of what the AO Hub can do. Thanks, everyone.